When the animal was done, it then hopped over this and took off right up that way, angled up. And right here is where it landed. And that white head of this pin is basically right in the middle of a nice fox track.
Mike Kessler sees things more clearly than most people.
That's a nice one, but all 4 feet would have landed. Here's another one in here. But if you want, you can kind of just lightly put your finger in there. And if you look close, you can see where it even broke the leaves, and there's a nail mark there, right there and right there.
Kessler teaches wildlife tracking for the University of Vermont and in communities around the state. It's a tricky subject to teach. It's something that cannot be learned from a textbook.
I just try to share my enthusiasm and joy for tracking with others. And it goes well beyond that, because it's a skill that hasn't been passed down really in books or movies or any other form. It's been passed down through generations of trackers around the world. Then lots of times we go out in the woods and we go out looking for a 4-legged animal, but we go about thinking about it like the way it would be if it were us, a 2-legged animal. The way if we would walk
On this day, Kessler joined Eric Barker's 3rd grade class from Jericho Elementary School for a field trip.
In a classroom, we're working with biomes and habitats and learning about life cycles with animals, and Mike gave us an opportunity to do some tracking right out in Mills Riverside Park.
And it's not a lynx.
Kessler and fellow tracker Bill Marple first introduced the class to some tracking basics. After that, it was time for some hands-on learning.
Who would like to be a prey? We just set the tables up and had this little predator-prey game going. And just wanted to get him to just do that motion without even telling him why. So then when we walked out into the woods, into another area, and said, okay, here's your pavilion. You were a predator. How would you play that game here? And by thinking about how they were moving amongst all those picnic tables and where they would hide, etc. So now I said, you know, those bushes, those are picnic tables. How would you play the game? Go to where you are if you're a predator. If you're a prey, go hide. And so that's what they did. And sure enough, you know, right away, you saw they were on the fox trails. Thank you.
Heading into the woods led to the discovery not only of fox trails, but also of deer tracks, of a print from a running bear, and even a mystery track that clearly needed further study.
We found a track that's very interesting called the jumping moose track.
What did it look like?
It kind of looked like a small moose that can jump.
Although the jumping moose probably doesn't really exist, that kind of thinking is exactly what Kessler likes to see.
Imagination it's not a dirty word in tracking.
Kessler says that for his younger students, it's that imagination that can make them more open to finding something interesting in the woods.
You have to close your eyes and pretend that there's eyes on your fingers, and pretend that you're closing your eyes and look in between and seeing if it's a paw or not.
You always try to meet people where they are, give them a point of connection, which they already have, so that they're only half a step away from connecting with something that they may not even know is out there, may not believe is possible.
Barker hopes that the connection his students take away from this lesson will include not only the animals whose tracks they're searching for, but also the land itself.
We're always trying to connect the work we're doing in here to what we can do out in our own community. So Mills Riverside Park is a great resource for us. We go outside and learn about habitats, but also the geology connections to the park, and connecting students to their home place and community.
Those connections are taking root.
You have to feel the ground, move the leaves, and look at the stuff that they eat, like leaves, berries, and something, and grass. Because sometimes, if they are like a deer, they eat off little bites of little branches, and then you feel them like the stick where they ate it off. Well, if there's like a deer or a squirrel or something, there's probably a predator around trying to get it. And so in herbivores, like deer, stand in packs, stay together. And then when we So when you find like one track, you're most likely to find another. I found a fox track from about 7 feet away. It was very challenging to do, but you just have to focus and you can find one.
Applying that focus to the world around you is key to Kessler's lesson.
You just have to slow down. Really just slow down. Let all of the chatter inside slow down. When we stop thinking and we stop focusing. We stop tunneling, we stop labeling. We stop projecting all of the thoughts and our biases, our prejudices onto the world on whether or not we can even find a track today in the rain, or whether or not we can find a track from 5 years ago today in the rain. And then when we start from there, that's where we begin. When we let go of all of that, we can start with a clean slate.
Letting go of what we know in order to see more clearly. It's advice from a man who can see the forest, the trees, and everything in between.
We weren't born 1,000 years too late to do this. We've got the same tools within us that every other tracker had.
In Jericho, I'm Rebecca Gollin with Across the Fence.